Hi, Ann. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. My
It
everlasting cold is rearing its ugly head again, but other than that,
oh,
I'm fine. Yeah.
it is good to see you smile.
Oh, yeah. It feels good to smile. Things have been so
Yes,
things have been so crazy
I
lately.
know. My Kathleen told me that earlier. It was just like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. She goes, well, then smile a little bit. But I may as well get this installment started by um, two things. I mean, we're recording this between um, Chicago, which just ended, the Noir City Chicago Festival, and Noir City Detroit, which I'm leaving to do next week. So I have actually no idea when this is going to air. But Chicago was great, fantastic. The audience was sensational. I got a lot of great feedback on the programming, which was interesting because I mean the only show that was 100% sold out turnaway business was Out of the Past.
Yeah.
So that kind of shows you that something that I'd kind of known is the classics are undeniable because people just I was surprised how many, because I always ask how many people haven't seen this movie before, and I was surprised that like a third of the audience had not seen the movie. So this is why we do what we do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To let people see these things on a big screen uh, is fantastic. And yeah, all in all, it was great. The volunteers in Chicago who work our merchandise table and everything, Chuck and Erica, the Pickerels, fantastic. Margaret McGregor,
Yeah.
who was just the greatest, Sue Henkel and uh, Julia and Robin and all these people who come and basically live at the theater, at least for the first weekend, are just tremendous. And I'm happy to say the Musicbox where we do it is doing extremely well, and it gives me great heart because the theory that the movies are dying. What's dying is any value uh, being produced by the studios because they're just not making movies that people really feel they need to leave the house to go see,
Hmm.
right? With a few exceptions this year. Um, but the Music Box is doing better than ever. They're expanding. I mean, I shouldn't tell their business until they're ready to do it, but they're just doing great because it's special programming,
Hmm.
and that's what's going to make that's what people are going to come out to see, for the foreseeable future in movie theaters is specialized programming that you can't really get on television.
Yeah.
I don't mean television, you know what I mean, at home
Uh-huh.
entertainment, streaming and such. So anyway, that was really great. The downer news for me is that Tizzy passed away just before I went to Chicago, a few days before I went to Chicago. And, I'm very, it's difficult um, because this is the first time that Kathleen and I, uh, since, I mean, Kathleen and I have been together 40 years. And I think it has been 38 and a half years that we have always had a cat.
Yeah.
And so it's weird coming home and not having an animal in the house is has been an adjustment for us, and it's really strange. So I want to give a quick shout out to my good friend Lee Langford, who I I haven't talked to him about this, but I will, because we record this in advance.
Yeah.
I will be able to call Lee and talk to him uh, about Tizzy before this airs. But I just want publicly to give him a shout out because um, he has been the greatest. I know he watches this show, our thing, every time it's on. And he has been the greatest friend to Tizzy because whenever we traveled to Los Angeles and I had stuff to do, I could always count on Lee to come and be her cat sitter. And he's just he's a great guy. He loves animals, and he's a hard ass. He's a tough guy, but he would do anything for Tizzy. And Lee's also a good friend, great writer, written great novels, and he's just a good buddy. And I want to just publicly thank him for like the past 5 or 6 years. Every time I've gone to do the TCM Film Festival, we've taken Tizzy with us because we can't really leave her for a week at home.
Yeah.
And so Lee has served as her surrogate dad for those times during the festival, and she liked Lee a lot. It was pretty obvious. So thanks, Lee. Thank you. And you'll have heard this from me already, but I'm just telling it publicly. So there you go.
Yeah. So really quick, I'm Ann Hawkins. I'm the Director of Communications with Film Noir Foundation. This is
I give the obituaries before we even give the introductions.
That's fine. It's fine. It was big news. We needed to get this, and this is of course Eddie Muller, who let's see, you're a writer, you're the president of the Film Noir Foundation. You have a little show on TCM called Noir Alley. You're Kathleen's husband.
That too. Yeah. Cat Daddy too. Not right now. Not right now.
You'll get another one. I think the longest I've lasted without a cat has been like a month. And actually, Emily and Charlotte were the first cats I ever adopted because I just always got I've always gotten people's cats.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have never. Isn't that something though? We have never gone out and like gotten a cat. They've all come to us.
Yeah.
Every cat we've had for over 38 years or something, every cat has been a stray.
Yeah.
That we took in.
Yeah.
We have never gone and let's have that they find us. And it makes me think social media network that the cats have. Somebody's internet connection is unstable. Yeah. I just saw a little note.
I just saw a little thing, so hopefully it won't be too bad. We'll pick back up.
Yeah, let's hope not. Anyway, they seem to have a social media network to tell each other the house down the block they're suckers. They'll feed you and they'll take you in and blah blah blah. So we have never had to go get a cat. They've always come to us.
Yeah,
and they've all been great.
Yeah, because people just have always given me cats. In fact, when I was, I don't know, it must have been in junior high, and I was in my front yard, and so was my dad. We were doing lawn work or something, and this kid came up on a bicycle with a cat and asked me if I wanted the cat because they just found it at a park, and my dad was like, "Yeah, we'll take it." Because my dad loves cats and stuff, and that was just a sign of things to come. Because like all my friends, basically, if someone moved or whatever, I always wound up with their cats. And then Charlotte and Emily, Brendan actually picked them out and called me at work. He's like, "I'm at this SPCA. You have to come here. You need these two girls." And Charlotte showed her gratitude towards them by being absolutely vicious towards them. Which, in all fairness, she was vicious to everyone who was not me. So.
Okay, so she found the right human in you.
Oh,
it's
God,
so funny
yeah.
because our first cat, and I apologize to everybody that we're going to talk about cat for a minute. Our first cat was named Bent because Bent was a feral cat that had a broken tail that was bent, and so its tail went like this. right in the middle. It was broken. Right,
Oh wow. That's
and it was like a
nice.
rudder that went like that,
Yeah.
and and I mean she was feral. I won't
Yeah.
go into the whole story, but and then I remember when it was everything for us to deal with Bent and to take her in and get her used to human beings and the whole thing. And then uh and we had to move several times because the landlords would not found out that we had Bent and threw us out. And one day I was going into a delicatessen or something, and there was a little girl with a box of cats outside the door of the place, and she said, "Hey, Mister, do you want a cat?" And I kind of said, "No, I only like black cats," because Bent was a black cat.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I got a black cat," and I said, "No, I only like black cats with broken tails." And she said, "Oh, I got one of those too," and 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 sure enough, she had like this cat with a little hook, a little birth defect. The tail went up, and then at the very top, it had a little hook, like the thing you use to hang a Christmas tree ornament. And I, what am I going to say? So that's how Bent got her friend Snap. We called her Snap, and yeah, Snap lived to be like 22,
Yeah.
and she was a goofy. Anyway, this is not about film noir. This is so anyway. But the end of this story is there's a feral cat that comes to our house now, black, and Kathleen has been feeding it for a while. We could never see it for the longest time, but we knew it was around. And now it comes right up to the front door. And in the past week, it's actually allowed us to touch it.
Yeah.
And of course, last night, for the first time, I was petting this cat, and she let me run my hand the length of her body and over her tail. And at the end of her tail, it was broken.
Oh my.
So I just, and like, I never knew that. And it was like, wow, do you believe in reincarnation? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of fascinating. So we have a cat, but we don't have a cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, that's that. I don't really want to be taking care of a cat for a while,
Yeah.
uh, as much as I loved Tiz and would do anything for her and did everything for her, it's going to be kind of freeing to not have to worry about her. You know, she got a full run, 20 years and 4 months.
There
Not
you
bad.
go. That's a
Not
good
bad.
long run. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
I didn't realize. I never think about it. They talk about dog years,
yeah.
so I looked it up to see are there cat years too, and it's pretty fascinating. So Tiz was about 96 years old, so you can't really complain.
Yeah, I mean, my cat Smitty, who I got third hand, and he lived to be about 24. So,
Woo! Woo!
yeah, yeah, it was pretty amazing. Just good genetics, I guess.
Yeah, that's incredible. And how of those 24 years, how long did you have him?
Quite some time because I got him. Jeez, I mean, I had him when I was still in Seattle. I moved him to San Francisco with me, and he died probably the second year I was in San Francisco. So I'm not quite sure. Pretty long. I mean,
Okay.
well over a decade. I think close.
Okay, fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
see, you took good care of
Yeah.
Okay, Ann, I think we need to
Okay.
stop talking about the cats now and get to the
Get to the actual questions.
get
Well,
to the actual questions.
people insist. This is from Vince. I was delighted to read the chapter on Helen Walker in the new edition of Dark City Dames, a most enlightening account of her rise and fall. Where did you get the quote about her being mistaken for Betty Hutton from? Did she give an interview somewhere that was published?
Yes. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate that, and it was fun to show. Uh, it's interesting. We've been showing because, of course, all the Noir City festivals this year, and there are only two more to go. All the festivals are based around Dark City Dames, the book. So we've been showing this very obscure Helen Walker movie called My True Story, um, which people really have enjoyed. It's kind of surprised me. I thought, like, did you see it when we showed it in Oakland? My True Story.
No, what happened during the festival? Something terrible happened during the festival to me and I couldn't go.
Oh, I think you got sick or something, and
Is that
um,
did I get sick or is it something else? Something happened and I
I don't
couldn't
know.
go.
I don't want to bring up bad. I don't want to bring up
I
bad
don't know what it
memories here.
was, but it was
Don't want
bad
to
because
bring up bad
I only
memories.
got to like oh no, that's when Emily got sick, so I was having to give her medication 3 times a day, so I couldn't go to the
Okay, it's
festival.
another cat related incident.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a very odd movie, and the audience really they liked it. I got a lot of positive feedback on that film. But anyway, um, yes, that quote from Helen Walker, I believe, was in a book called '40s Film Talk, which is just a book I picked up a long time ago. That was like a one and done, strange hardcover thing. I don't know if it was a McFarlane book or whatever, but there was an extended interview with Helen Walker in that book, and that's where the quote came from. '40s Film Talk. Anyways, but she's terrific, and I'm glad her other noir films. Nightmare Alley is the best, but this was the only other film that I could find where she had a really, really substantial role. And so I showed it like sight unseen because I'd never seen it. And I found out that Sony had a really good, it's a Columbia picture, and Sony had a really good print. So that I don't think had been shown since the film first came out in like 1952 or something. But it's good. I hope we can give that movie a new life. Okay, here's question 2 is from Arlene. Uh, Watching Sterling Hayden on Summer Under the Stars. What took the studios so long? I'm not entirely sure I understand what Arlene means by that. He looks awful in costume drama Technicolor. Perfect in black and white. Maybe I've got it backwards. I don't know, Arlene. We black and white first, super saturated color later. I mean, he made black and white movies for a long time. I mean, Dr. Strangelove is in black and white, right? Please tell us more about Sterling Hayden and the name Made for the Silver Screen. How'd he get it? Well, it's his name, Arlene. I mean, that's kind of fascinating that it sounds like the phoniest name ever for a movie actor. It's actually his real name. Relier, I believe, is in there as well. Sterling Relier Hayden. And he's had many names. And anyway, I could tell you more about Sterling Hayden than you ever want to know, but I don't have to because I'm actually Blackpool Productions, my publishing company, is coming out with a biography of Sterling Hayden uh, shortly, called Professional Irregular. And it is by Philippe Garnier, who did the biography of David Goodis and also wrote the fabulous book Scoundrels and Spitballers, among many other things. But these are the ones that I am publishing in English. And this book came out in France a couple of years ago. And I think it was always the intention that once it was published in France, that I would do the English language version of the book. And it is really fun. It's terrific. And it gets, because there was a book written a few years ago called Sterling Hayden's Wars that was written by I'm embarrassed, I can't remember the writer's name right now, but he was an ex-military guy who was fascinated by the fact that Sterling Hayden had had served in World War II in reconnaissance missions and everything for the OSS, and had a uh, very interesting life. And this guy, his book was mostly about Sterling Hayden's life in the military, not as a movie actor. So Philippe was like, wow, that I think people really want to read about Sterling Hayden because of his movies, not because of his wartime service. So that's what Philippe's book focuses on, although there is a lot about his service in the OSS when he went by the name John Hamilton, because he did not want, he had already been in movies when he served in World War II, and he didn't want the other soldiers that he was working with to treat him any differently. So he just used another name. He was John Hamilton, but an incredible life story. One of the most amazing life stories of anybody who's ever made movies, and all of which Philippe has rendered quite brilliantly in this book, which will soon be available from Blackpool Productions.
And
And
what?
I'll clue people in about that as we. I mean, I mentioned it at the end of because I hosted that Summer Under the Stars tribute to him, and I mentioned it at the very end of the evening that we were coming out with this book. Anyway,
And if
I
people want something to read before the book comes out, his memoir is great.
oh my God, Wanderer is one of the great autobiographies ever. You
Yeah.
know, because he was a sailor first and foremost,
Yeah.
or that sailor doesn't quite capture it. Mariner. He was a mariner. And sailed around the world and stole his kids and sailed off to kidnapped his kids
Yeah.
basically,
He did.
and sailed off to Tahiti, and just an amazing life story. And he hated acting. He thought he was terrible. Um, and one little tidbit from the book that I think is great is the only guy he was kind of comfortable with was Stanley Kubrick, because he liked making The Killing. And then when Stanley Kubrick asked him to play Jack D. Ripper, General Ripper, in Doctor Strangelove, he was like on the cusp of leaving the movie business when Kubrick gave him that role. And then because of that, he got a few more offers. But it wasn't until he made a picture in Europe, an English language picture in Europe in the late 60s called Hard Contract, in which he co-starred with James Coburn, that revitalized his later career, because James Coburn was the first guy to get him to smoke hash. So
Interesting.
yeah, so Sterling Hayden started smoking hash with James Coburn, and he loved it so much, it relaxed him so much
Yeah.
that he lost his stage fright, which he had
Yeah.
always had. He hated performing in front of the camera, but he was okay performing in front of the camera when he'd smoked a little hash. So, so we have James Coburn to thank for all of Sterling Hayden's later performances, right? In The Godfather, and in The Long Goodbye, and King of the Gypsies, and 1900 with Bernardo Bertolucci, and all these films that he made later on. He was happy to do them for the money and because he was smoking hash.
Yeah, I need to rewatch The Godfather because I watched that when I was quite young. I mean, like I was in high school, so it was before I got into all the film noir. So like I want to rewatch. I keep saying to myself, I got to rewatch it because I'll know who all these actors are now that are in the
Yeah,
film. So I need to do that.
McCluskey.
Yeah.
He's fantastic in that film. Yeah.
Okay. So
Um, okay.
okay. So this is kind of a long question, but it's one of those things where I can't really cut anything out and make it make sense. And this is regarding this side of the law.
Well,
which,
it's interesting, yeah. And I don't know that Dennis, because I'm looking at the question. I don't know if Dennis has ever submitted a question before. The name doesn't look familiar to me, Dennis Kitchell.
oh, whoops. You usually leave off the last names.
Oh, sorry,
No, it's
sorry.
my fault.
Oh,
I forgot to take it off. Sorry, Dennis. Didn't mean to out
um,
you.
okay, but yeah, I looked at this, and what's weird is if you read the question, go. I mean, go ahead and read the question. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's perfectly fine.
Okay, so this is give me slightly spoilery for this side of the law.
Yeah,
You are
yeah.
warned. I am puzzled by one thing about this side of the law. Near the film's climax, the character Calder Taylor, who just tried to push his sister-in-law Evelyn Taylor off a cliff, is fought off by David Cummins. When I see that Calder is pushed to the ground, then gets up and runs off screen, not to be seen for the rest of the picture. This seems odd post haste codes, as Calder had previously killed, but the crime goes unpunished on screen at least. Stranger still is a description of the scene on the AFI catalog. Meanwhile, David has managed to crawl out of the cistern and, hearing Evelyn scream as she struggles with Calder, hurries to her rescue. During the ensuing fight, Calder falls to his death. I rewatched the scene, and while Calder comes perilously close to falling off the cliff, David pulls him. I rewatched the
Pulls him
scene,
back. He pulls
pulls
him
him
back.
back. My big question is, why does Calder disappear from the story at this point? It could just be a plot hole from either the screenplay or the editing room, but please let me know if I've missed something here.
I don't have any answer for Dennis, but I will say this because what he did, that thing you read that was the description of the scene in the AFI catalog of feature films, right?
Yeah.
Because what you need to do here is because when you said, meanwhile, David has managed to crawl out of the cistern and hearing Evelyn scream as she struggles with Calder, hurries to her rescue. During the ensuing fight, Calder falls to a death. That's a quote from the synopsis in the AFI catalog of
Sorry,
feature films.
yes. I didn't say
Those
quotation
those
marks.
those catalogs are constructed from story synopses submitted when the film is being made, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily reflect what's actually in the finished film.
Okay.
So that was a mistake because that was based on that submitted synopsis. You know, whether it was for the media or, there's a million reasons why they gave story synopses, but basically that was common back in the day. Like the press books for movies would always contain this story synopsis that basically gave the whole thing away. It told you what happens in the movie. But those things are generally written based on somebody working at the studio writing it up from the script that they were given when the film went into production. So if there were
Okay.
any changes made, they sometimes don't show up. Like if you look at the synopsis for Fallen Angel, it's very different from the final movie. And what's interesting is that it also involves a cliff.
Yeah.
It's weird. Charles Bickford and Dana Andrews actually have a fight on the cliff in Fallen Angel that is not in the finished film. And there are photographs. I shot it. There are photographs of it and everything. That one I know about. I don't know in this side of the law why that was changed. Like the guy clearly, I mean, he just disappears. I don't know if they shot the scene and cut it out or if they ran out of money. I mean, that is a low budget movie. They ran out of money and just said, we're not even going to do that. And he just runs off and forget it. He's gone.
Okay.
Uh,
Regarding changes to Fallen Angel, because I have to, because it's like my all-time favorite Hollywood story. So Alice Faye was a huge star at Fox. In case people don't know, she's a
yes.
musical star. If you don't know who Alice Faye is, watch a bunch of her movies. She's awesome. Or her radio show with Phil Harris, her husband. One of my all-time favorite radio shows. Anyway, so she was really excited to do this film because it was a change of pace for her. It was not a musical, and she really liked working with Dana Andrews. and stuff. So she went to the screening of the rough cut, in the studio, and they had like totally built up Linda Darnell's part,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Or diminished hers. Of course, she was furious. So she she wrote a letter to Zanuck. She drove out of the gates of the studio, threw her keys at the poor guard, gave him a letter to give to Zanuck, which she said in the 1970s was still unprintable. Because you guys got to remember, she grew up in Hell's Kitchen in New York, the daughter of
Oh
a
yeah.
cop.
Oh yeah. No,
And
that
never looked
that
back. I mean, basically, she
yeah.
stopped,
That movie
and
pretty much ended her career.
yeah, yeah. And she walked out on the studio. She walked out on her contract. She was like, I am done. I have my daughters, I have my husband and my radio show. I don't need to be a movie star. I
I
mean, it's a
know.
rare example for a movie star. I don't know if there has really been another movie star who just, I guess,
Just
Garbo,
said, screw it. I'm
just
done.
said, screw it, I'm done. I've
Yeah.
had enough.
And
Yeah.
and I may be wrong about this, but I seem to remember a story that she was told that she would have a song in the movie,
Oh, I didn't know that.
right? And there is a song in the movie, and it's her singing it, but it's playing on the radio in the car while Dana Andrews is making out with Linda Darnell.
Oh my God.
So so that was just adding insult to injury, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta say, Alice Faye is really good in that movie.
Oh, she's fantastic.
I mean, that's an impossibly written character. Very difficult to make you believe that she is as old as she is and still a virgin and the whole thing. And this, she takes in this obvious grifter, and they have this relationship, and he's clearly just using her, but she's entirely convincing in that movie.
Yeah.
She's really good. I'm sorry that the balance. I don't think the balance between the two women is off that much in the movie.
No.
I mean, that's what the movie is about, right? The
Yeah.
guy between these two women. But because she was such a big star at that time, I totally understand her attitude about it. Anyway, interesting, Dennis. That wasn't the question you asked. You asked
No.
about a movie, and you asked about a movie that is nowhere near the caliber of this of Fallen Angel, right?
Yes, which
This
I
side
highly
of
recommend people watch because I don't think a lot of people have seen Fallen Angel. I mean, I saw it because I'm a huge Alice Faye fan,
okay.
and so it's just people should watch it.
No, it's very
It's a
interesting,
great
and
film.
it's kind of in a limbo because it's not Laura. It's not like world class thing, blah blah blah. And the script is a little uneven, but very interesting. Written by a woman, Marty Holland, and it's a very intriguing screenplay, and I just like everything about that movie.
And
Like the
John
whole
Carradine's in it.
John Carradine is
He's
in it,
great.
and Percy Kilbride is in it,
Mhm.
and just like I said, Charles Bickford and the whole, and it's an unusual movie with a great vibe. So I highly recommend it if people haven't seen it. Okay, now this is Ken from Oklahoma says, if The Night of the Hunter is a fairy tale noir and repeat performance is a Twilight Zone noir, then is there another film noir that has its own category within the genre? In other words, a film noir that has a unique angle or story that places it in its own category, like those two other films. Well, it's interesting, Ken, because we make up all these categories. I mean, nobody in Hollywood at that time was calling any of these movies film noir. So um, I'm not entirely sure how to answer this question because you can make up your own answer for this. I
Yeah.
mean, Western noir. I mean, when I started doing this, uh, 27 years ago or something now, I kind of jokingly would call something like I would call uh, Thieves Highway and Border Incident, I would call them agri noir,
Yeah.
right? Because they were about produce, growing produce and getting it to market and stuff, and the chicanery and dark side of all that. But all that's just for fun. I don't
Yeah.
take any of this too seriously. I mean, repeat performance is a fantasy movie. That's what it is. But because it was made when it was made, it looks and feels like a film noir. Like Alias Nick Beale is like a Faustian tale that feels just like a film noir movie, right? So I mean, Alias Nick, and it's also kind of biblical in a sense, biblical noir or whatever. But all these designations are just humorous to me. I don't think they're like genuine
Yeah.
categories.
Well, I think
But
like nine. Go ahead.
no, I was just about to ask you: are there particular examples like he's talking about that are?
Yeah, I think Night Has a Thousand Eyes is just something that I don't think I've really seen in another noir where the guy actually has psychic powers. He's not like a fake or something.
Right, right.
He really is a clairvoyant. But it's also so Woolrichian that it's more like just like Woolrichian
Exactly.
noir.
Well, that's a whole thing in itself,
So, you know
just
what
it's
I
a
mean?
Cornell Woolrich story.
Story. So
But I know
it has its
exactly what you
own
mean.
logic.
There's a supernatural element that becomes real in it. I mean, at first, because and that's what I love about that movie and the book is that he is kind of a fraud at
Yeah, yeah.
first, and then he realizes he actually does have this power to see the future. And I mean, that's just a great premise, and nobody believes him. And, it's really good. Uh, there are war movies. Um, I read on TCM, just this, I think it already aired. Yeah, it did. It already aired this earlier this month. I did a night of called Noir or Not, right? Where it was the Chaplin film, Monsieur Verdoux. That's a serial killer movie, and it's like nobody knows what to make of that movie. It's completely unique because it's kind of a comedy, but it's a black comedy, but it's also clearly a film noir. And Blood on the Moon, I showed Blood on the Moon, which is Western noir, and showed Unfaithfully Yours, which is a comedy noir, right? And then there are also horror noir films like Hangover Square is kind of a horror movie more than it's a film noir movie. The Lodger is a horror movie more than it's a film noir movie. But Ken, I'm not a big one for the distinctions. I mean, to me, it's just very interesting that what I'm looking at when I see these films is not a label on them, but a vibe that was so prevalent at that time that regardless of what the story was or the premise was or how it was going to be labeled in the exhibitor's guide, the films shared a certain kind of feel and tone.
Yeah.
Like one of the movies I wanted to show on TCM that we couldn't get the rights to was a picture Don Siegel made in I think it was 1960 called Hell is for Heroes, which is a war movie that to me it feels just like a film noir. And Steve McQueen plays a real noir character in it. And it's like the dark side of heroism. Like he ends up being a war hero, but he's really kind of a psychotic creep. Anyway, so that's that. But
Yeah.
to give you an answer, is there any, what did he say? One other movie. I would say that Alias Nick Beale. I would just say it's kind of unique in the genre. It feels totally like a film noir, but it has a even more of a supernatural aspect to it than Night Has a Thousand Eyes. Okay.
This is We're on five, right? So William, this is from William. Two questions. One, The Big Sleep, starring Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall from the late 1940s, is a very difficult movie for me to follow and to understand. Is it me or is it complicated? That's the first question.
It's complicated,
Complicated.
William. You're not the only one.
No. Yes. And two, I understand that James Cagney and Betty Davis only made one movie together. Is there any particular reason they did not work together more? Perhaps they didn't get along, big egos.
Um, I'm not sure. My assumption would be that Jack Warner wasn't going to pay two-star salaries in one movie. Like those are big salaries for the 1930s, you know?
Yeah.
And I just don't think that Jack Warner is going to put the two of them in one movie because he's going to say people are going to go see a Jimmy Cagney movie. Yes. People are going to go see a Betty Davis movie. Yes. Why are we going to give them both in one movie? It's going to cost me twice as much money and it's not going to make twice as much money.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of think that that's probably the reason, you know, and that's it. I don't have any more insight than that. If they hated each other or something, I honestly I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, you ready for your lightning round?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And this time I'm really going to try to be fast.
Okay. This is from Scott, hoping for a future Noir City in New Jersey / New York area.
That's it?
That's it. So do you want to say if that's going to happen or not?
Well, I never say never, but I mean, there are no immediate plans. But like I say, never say never. I do know that I will be in New York in January doing something.
All right.
I'm not at liberty to say what it is quite yet. But it will be after the Noir City Film Festival out here in the Bay Area. But I will be doing something in New York.
If it's really interesting, I might go. I can go see my brother.
Okay, very good. I can't guarantee it's going to be worth it, but I will be there, and it will be a public event. So I think it's the 31st of January, but I'm not at. It hasn't been publicly announced, so I'm not at liberty to say.
And this is from Jonathan. Artificial intelligence seems to be getting better at accurately colorizing black and white stills in film. If and when the process is perfected or close to it, are there any noirs you would like to see colorized? If so, which ones and why? By the way, I'm just curious. Please don't toss me headfirst into the trash cans behind F&F headquarters.
The answer is no. If a movie was shot in black and white, it should stay in black and white. But obviously, you know, I mean, we already do restorations of color films and use digital techniques to enhance them and improve them. I don't believe that's artificial intelligence. I just believe that, you know, so the answer is no.
Right. And this is Mitchell from Henderson, Nevada. D.O.A. is one of the most important films in noir, and yet no one has done a restoration. It is a public domain film, so what is the reason?
The reason is because the film was owned by a man named Wade Williams who didn't trust anybody in the world. And now Wade Williams has died, and the library is now in the control of someone else who I would not be surprised at all if you see a restoration of D.O.A. and other movies produced by Harry and Leo Popkin, because Wade owned their collection of films, which includes like Impact and The Second Woman. And anyway, I don't mean to be coy, but we haven't gone down far enough down this road for me to make any comment about it. But we are definitely in talks with the new owners of Wade's collection about working on some restorations and things with them. So it's highly probable that you will see a restoration of D.O.A. in the near future.
Okay. And this is from JJ. Sorry if this has been asked before, newbie. Just wondering if Chicago Deadline has been on the show or if you have any plans to restore and or show it.
It has not been on the show. It's a film that really does need to be restored. It is still owned by Paramount. And, that complicates things a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see. Not entirely out of the question, but it is complicated because of the ownership. In instances like this, it requires me to persistently bug the studios to do the restoration themselves. Like if you do it, like Field of Dreams, if you do it, they will come. If you restore it, I will get you an audience for it. Unfortunately, as we all know, the way life works in America, you don't really get to convince the people who control the money of much. They think they know. They think they know everything, and so I would love to convince them that the screenings that I would get, the broadcast on TCM, all this stuff, would be advantageous for them. But the question is it enough for them, to merit their spending money to restore it? Okay.
And this is for Nate. Has Eddie ever done any acting? If so, is he a member of SAG-AFTRA?
I am not a member of SAG-AFTRA. As much of a union supporter as I am, I belong to no unions at all. So, but you will never see me citing against the unions. I just don't happen to belong to them. I am a lone wolf, totally. But, and yeah, I act every episode of Noir Alley. I mean, what do you consider acting? I mean, is acting a performance? Right? Because that's what I feel like I'm doing.
Yeah, because people don't know you're a complete bastard. So I think you do a great job.
Thanks, Ann. Oh, my camera just went all weird. Look at that. You made my camera go totally out of focus. What happened?
Excuse me, people.
It's coming back. Come on. Come back. Look at now. This is in focus. Look, you can see that.
Oh, what happened?
I was building something, and that was the residue from using a screwdriver. Too much of that, and I got a little blister on my palm. But now the camera is back normally. There you go.
We'll get you some work gloves.
It didn't seem to be that heavy duty, but then I didn't realize it was like 60 things that it needed, and I didn't want to go downstairs in the basement and get the electric drill.
No. That's okay. I've literally put a nail in the wall just using a rock because I was too lazy to get my hammer.
That's not a particularly good idea because I've done that a few times and you can really screw things up. Okay. Me now. Jeffrey. Yes, Jeffrey is saying RKO has been referred to as the House of Noir. Would you call Howard Hughes the man who burnt the house down? How would you describe his position in the world of noir? Yeah, he definitely burnt that house down. There is no question about it. I don't think he thought that's what he was doing, but when you have that much money, nobody can tell you how to run your business. So, he loused it all up. And having said that, it's amazing to me how many times I invoke him when talking about film noir, because RKO was the House of Noir before Hughes took it over, and it remained the House of Noir for a few years. But it's incredible how many great noir films he almost destroyed. Right? They Live by Night should have the date on that film should have been 1947 or 1948, but it came out way later because Hughes didn't like the movie, didn't, because he thought Kathy O'Donnell, who was a tomboy in the movie, like there was no sex in the movie. So even though it was a Romeo and Juliet story, he's like, why are we even interested in this film? Right, which was already in production when he took over the studio. The Window was shot in 1947, but not released in desperation until late 1949, because he didn't think a movie about a kid, anybody would be interested in watching a movie about a kid. He totally screwed up Walk Softly Stranger, which could have been a great movie until he got his hands on it, because he forced them to put a stupid ending on the movie to get more action in it, when the original ending was really, really great. He almost destroyed The Narrow Margin because he held it hostage until Richard Fleischer agreed to fix the end of His Kind of Woman, and then he let the film escape. There are many, many more examples of movies that Hughes just kind of loused up. He couldn't completely destroy them, but he just didn't get it, you know. Uh, like the setup. I mean, I love Audrey Totter, but Joan Blondell was supposed to play
Oh, wow.
Robert Ryan's wife in that movie, but Howard Hughes rejected her because she was too old. And it was like, wow, did you not see Nightmare Alley? Did you not see how great Joan Blondell still was? No offense to Audrey, who's terrific in the
Yeah.
film, but Joan Blondell would have been, no offense, just as good, if not better. So yeah, he just had he was nuts. He had no real taste or feel for anything other than his very, very specific thing, which largely had to do with women's breasts. I mean, that was basically what his obsession was, as confirmed by Janet Leigh when we had her out at a festival one time, and just bringing up Jet Pilot, the movie that
Yeah.
she made for Howard Hughes. I mean, she would nearly lose her mind recalling working with him and his weirdness, and she just said, what was that like? He said, it's weird. I mean, he was obsessed with me. And then she said, no, he wasn't obsessed with me. He was obsessed with my breasts. There you go. You know, running a major studio. But hey, as we know these days, nothing has changed that much.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Sandra. Do you know anything about what sounds like a film noir from Mexico during the 1950s and 60s? Yo sabi. Oh, God. Can you
Yo,
pronounce Spanish? So please.
yo sabía demasiado.
I know too
Demasiado.
much.
Yo, yeah, that's exactly what it means. I know too much.
It stars my favorite actor, Carlos Rivas, and sounds like a cool movie. I hope you can locate it or store it. Hope it's not lost.
This is the first time my camera has like gone in and out of
Yeah,
focus.
it's being
So
temperamental tonight.
I know I just shouldn't move around.
Stay
It wants to
perfectly still.
focus. It wants to focus more on my room than on me. And now the lighting is getting really crappy in here because the sun's going down. Anyway, Sandra, I have not seen this movie. I know the movie you're talking about. It's from 1960, and it's a Julio Braco film. Julio Braco is the director, who made some pretty cool noir films in the 40s and early 50s that I have seen. Um, I don't know this movie, so I will look it up. Restoring films from Mexico is not something the Film Noir Foundation is going to be able to do. Um, just the situation is very different, say, from Argentina, where in Argentina, a lot of the films just, the studios went bankrupt and the films were just there, and my buddy Fernando Martin Pena is dedicated to tracking them down, and there's a lot less confusion. Not it's not confusion. That's the wrong word. Sorry. There's a lot less legal restrictions and things. So we've had very nice working relationships with people in Argentina, but in Mexico, most everything is owned by one company. The rights to old movies are all owned by Televisa, which is the major television network in Mexico. And for better or worse, Televisa does not really trust people outside of Mexico. The good news that's the bad news. The good news is my colleague Daniela Michel, who is the executive director, sorry, of the Morelia International Film Festival, and has done more to resurrect and preserve and restore Mexican cinema than anyone else. She would be able to do this, and as I'll check it out, Sandra, and find out. They may already know that it's restored. Getting it seen in the United States is a different matter.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The last time we did an international festival, right, when Imogen Sarah Smith was Ms. Noir City, and we did a whole international festival, there was a film that Imogen saw at the Morelia Festival called Four Against the World that she thought was magnificent and said, you have to show it at the festival, at the Noir City festivals. And we tried. We really, really tried for months to the point where we actually put it in the program, put it in the printed program that we were showing it, and then Televisa would not allow us to show the film. So that's a problem that we have. I have tried ever since I have been on TCM. I have tried every year to do a night of Mexican noir, and we have not succeeded yet because they just will not allow the films to be shown outside Mexico. I think there's some kind of concern or fear that the movies are going to be ripped off or something. And it's like, well, why? Like, why wouldn't you allow people who want to see these movies to see them, right, outside Mexico? But they're like, no, they're Mexican films. Mexicans can see them. Nobody else really needs to see them, and which is weird, but that's what we're dealing with.
Okay.
But Daniela is a good person to have on your side.
Okay. So this is.
I think this is number 8.
Oh,
isn't it?
Wait.
Did we skip 7?
Did I skip?
Yeah, 7. No, this is 8. Question number 8.
Okay, so you do 8.
Oh, okay. This is from Jerome. HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee, had a big impact on changing who got to make movies. With films by people who were blacklisted, I have yet to find a writer, director, actor who wasn't 100% totally American in their message. Interesting. Conversely, the Red Scare movies' antagonists were gangsters, while the potential recruitees were all virulent Democratic capitalists. Jerome, I'm not entirely sure I follow what you're saying there, but we'll get through this. Were there really any communist noirs? Is Jerome's question. Well, I can absolutely say unequivocally there were no genuine communist noirs. If you've ever seen a movie made by actual communists, you can tell the difference between the idea that there's subversive material in a movie and a movie made by genuine communists, right? The entertainment value of actual communist movies goes down so fast, it's so poor that the idea of it is kind of absurd. But I mean, it's just strange, but I think Jerome, not to go political here, but I think you can understand the witch hunt era just by being sentient in this exact moment we're in right now, because so much of it is so similar that the idea was simply, ooh, we have an opportunity to root out the people that we don't like. How will we succeed in doing that? Well, we're going to call them communists. And obviously, there were uh, people who initially believed the party line. Those people did exist in Hollywood. Their ability to actually affect the movies that were being made, not so much. I mean, you would have to have a communist studio head to make that happen, and there were none. There was no one in an executive capacity working in Hollywood who would have considered themselves to be a quote unquote communist or even a communist sympathizer. Uh, there were writers, there were directors, there were actors who all may have leaned that way, but they certainly did not have the power to make a communist film or something. So, I mean, it was the same thing like right now, when the current administration, anybody they just want to have people turn against, they just call them a socialist.
Yeah.
Socialist has become the new version of communist back in the 1950s.
Okay.
All right, we're closing in on it here.
Okay, so this is Alan from Sen and Selmo. Just watched Tony Rome in HD on TCM. Great print, looked like new. I enjoyed the snappy dialogue and in the cast very much. I'm sure Eddie has seen it. And how about you? Any comments would be appreciated. I have not seen it, so Eddie, you comment.
Tony Rome is like a time capsule movie.
Yeah.
It is such a 60s movie, but it is a 60s movie that is homage to the 1940s, because that is Frank Sinatra uh, doing what he always wanted to do, which is playing Humphrey Bogart. I mean, that's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Frank Sinatra, his inspiration in creating the Rat Pack was that he wanted to be Humphrey Bogart, and it was really kind of Humphrey Bogart who was the original leader of the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
And then he went and did his own thing, and Sinatra became really famous and led the Rat Pack. But he's clearly doing Bogart, and Tony Rome is his version of a 40s noir film. And in fact, Richard Breen, who wrote the screenplay for Tony Rome, I think the guy's name was Marvin Albert, not to be confused with the basketball or the sports announcer Marv Albert, but Marvin Albert. And I think he wrote 3 of these Tony Rome novels.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Conte is in it, and Jill St. John at her most Jill St. Johnish. I mean, that's when she was just super hot stuff. But it's just so it's like a classically incorrect movie. If you just look at the poster for that film, like it's a woman stretched out on a bed in her underwear and Frank Sinatra standing in the doorway, like ogling her in a way, but he totally is trying to project this Bogart vibe.
Yeah.
And then they did Lady in Cement was the follow-up to that, which I think Raquel Welch is in, if my memory serves. And, I mean, it's interesting that Sinatra did a lot of those pictures in the 60s where, he loved genre pictures and wanted to play, he did The Detective.
Yeah.
And Tony Rome is directed by Gordon Douglas, who, made a lot of pretty decent movies, right? He made Kiss Tomorrow, Goodbye, and, a few other films back in the original noir era. So, anyway, I had a very interesting experience last month. I had dinner with Tina Sinatra Frank's daughter, Tina, in LA. She's a big TCM fan.
Yeah.
And so she kind of called a dinner so we could all get together and talk about Frank and movies and stuff. And it was great fun. Tina's great. And it was all worth it. And just to be able to walk into an old Hollywood restaurant and walk up to the hostess table and say, I'm with the Sinatra party.
Aw.
That was it. I mean, the rest of the night could have been horrible, but just to be able to do that was pretty cool. Okay. Last one. Here we go. Oh, is it me?
Yeah, it's 10.
Oh, okay.
You do the even numbers.
All right. This is from Carlton. Carlton in Atlanta, Georgia, home of Turner Classic Movies. I've recently been watching the 1960 TV series Maigret and developing an interest in the book series by Georges Simenon. As I'm working my way through Noir City back issues, I was pleased to run across an article in issue 22 by Jake Hinkson. He describes Simenon as, quote, the father of European noir. I was surprised to, or forgot, to see the Brothers Rico was based on his book. Wonder what your thoughts on The Man Who Watched Trains, 1952, and what I'm really on the hunt for, A Life in the Balance, 1955, with Ricardo Montalban, a U.S.-Mexican co-production. I'm saying that, not Carlton. And also thoughts on Simenon as the grandfather of European noir. And thank you, Carlton, because he closes by saying the back issues of Noir City are a gold mine of information. Yes, Jake, that was a really good story. Okay. Where do we want to start with this, Anne?
I don't know. It's a lot.
I'm gonna start with a big declaration.
Okay.
Right? Georges Simenon is the best writer of crime fiction of the 20th century. That's what I'm going to say. No one was as prolific or as dependable in writing both detective fiction. Those Maigret novels are superb, and writing standalone one-off crime fiction that is as noir gets. So he may be the father of European noir, but I would not hesitate to put him at the top of the list. Right. And I don't think he had an influence in European cinema. I mean, so I am actually contemplating doing an entire Georges Simenon film festival. Just everything would be written by him.
That'd be awesome.
As far as I know, there are only two authors in the 20th century, for our purposes, crime and mystery fiction. There are only two authors that you could do an entire film festival of movies made around the world based on their books, and that is Georges Simenon and Cornell Woolrich.
Yeah.
Those are the two that you could actually do. Patricia Highsmith is getting there. She's pretty close to you could do 24 movies that have been based on her stuff. But most of those will be newer films, right? The first Simenon adaptation was in 1931.
Yeah.
I believe, right? Jean Renoir did it. It was Night at the Crossroads was the novel. And I mean, he has had at least 10 or 15 movies made in every decade since then. And some of them are just all-time classics, like Panique by Julien Duvivier is absolutely superb film. And they continue to adapt his stuff. Red Lights was a French or Belgian film that I really loved that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago or so. Yeah. But anyway, and we'll see about. I would love to find. I've never actually seen a good print of A Life in the Balance, and that'd be really fun to find and restore and make it part of this festival. I mean, I'm hoping to do that festival in the next couple of years, two
Yeah,
or
I
three
mean,
years.
that'd be awesome. Yeah, and I just wanted just to, I mean, there's in case of emergency, which is just such a, and I can't remember what they translated it into English, but it's Bridget Bardot and Jean Gabin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and that film is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I love the novel as well because I think it's one of the most sort of interesting relationships I've ever seen in anything between him and this younger woman. And um yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
No,
It's
it's
just
a, it is a really good film. I saw it a couple of years ago
it's
in
really different. And you know, yeah, her character is very tragic, I guess is what I'll say.
yes, it's not a relationship that you're going to see in an American movie of that time.
No, it not at all. Because I mean, because they really do. I mean, it is an older man, younger woman kind of thing, but they also really understand each other because they have like they're very similar people in a way, you know. And he is also kind of trying at the same, because it would seem like such a cynical thing, but he's really kind of trying to save her from herself in a lot of
Yeah.
ways
Yes,
too,
absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know. And so it's very, yeah, the whole thing is just kind of just book's great too.
Yeah.
That's
And Carlton, I will say if you've been watching the 60s version of Maigret, you may have heard me on this show previously tout the later television series starring Bruno Cremer as Maigret, which I have watched every episode of. We had Maigret Mondays in our house where Kathleen and I would just every Monday night we would watch one of these episodes. They're not like a TV show. Each episode is like a movie. They're at least 90 minutes long. And they aren't just clever detective stories. They are, but they are really sociological studies of French society and the class system and the relationships between genders and how businesses run and all this stuff, and absolutely fascinating, and things that are so distinctive to French culture, like life on the water with the barges that go down. A lot of those stories have to do with transient people, and it's just they're always rewarding. They're just great. So I have complete and utter admiration for Simenon as a writer. I know he's a somewhat controversial figure himself, just because he claims to have slept with so many women. But you know, what the hell? Good for him, right?
yeah.
So I don't know. And he had so many peeps, as they say in France. Where I left my peep here.
Sorry, that just reminds me of the movie of Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh
The
yes,
peep
yes,
cleaner.
the peep cleaner. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so that was fun. I like
Oh,
going out with a big bang there on the Simenon stuff. So
no.
I think I may have a couple of movies coming up on TCM, a couple of Simenon. I am very much trying to convince TCM to do an abbreviated version of that festival I'm talking about. I'd love to do like a night of just movies based on Simenon stories.
No.
And the thing that I love about that is that you could do them. I don't know if a lot of people enjoy this, but I love, like, let's show a movie from the 30s, one from the 40s, the 50s, all the way up to the 80s and beyond. You can do them all, and they're so timeless. It's fantastic. Okay, that's it.
Okay. So,
Are
what have you been? What do you want to do first, reading or watching? What have you been reading?
um I don't really want to talk about what I've been reading
Okay.
because it's so depressing. Um, it's it's a speculative sociology book about the 21st century and why we're screwed.
Okay, that
So
does sound depressing.
yeah, so yeah, I've been reading that without much enjoyment, but actually hearing somebody, anyway, never mind. I'm not going to go there. Watching, um, what have I? Oh, I've still been binging on that show I mentioned last time, the
Yeah.
Italian show, the Il Bastardi del Pizzofalcone. The bastards of Pizzofalcone, set in Naples, and it's funny. I have nothing more to say about it. Did I mention the last? Yeah, I think I mentioned the last time that the guy who plays the lead, Alessandro Gassman, is Vittorio Gassman's son,
Yes.
and he's just very compelling figure, and I just really like the show, and I'll eventually watch the entire thing. I'm now in the season 4, but that's about it. And I also watch a show called Glow Up with Kathleen. It's a British, one of those idiotic competition shows,
No.
but it's about makeup artists, MUAs, and it's kind of interesting. I know a lot of makeup artists, so it's kind of fun to watch this. It's a little different than American shows because they're much more civilized. The people are much nicer to each other.
Yeah.
In America, you have to put on a show to hate people and stab them in the back and all that kind of stuff. This shows a little more cooperation between the contestants, and the judges aren't quite as snarky.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm currently reading Paul Naschy's autobiography.
Okay. All right. Trashy Naschy.
Yeah, so it's been very interesting because, of course, when he was a kid, was during the Civil War in Spain. So it's sort of he's just right now. It's just sort of about his early life, and so it's been sort of interesting to see the perspective about the Civil War from someone who lived through it as a kid. So that's as far as I've gotten in it. Um,
Spanish Civil War, a major event in the 20th century, and it's something that a lot of people don't know much about.
I mean, I didn't really know that much about it until like probably I mean there were mentions of it in English stuff because a lot of Brits went over there and fought that, but I mean I don't think it was until like
A lot of Americans went and
did
fought in
too.
his
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Lincoln Brigade in the
Yeah.
Spanish Civil War. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the
And
original anti-fascists.
mhm, yeah. Yeah, and then of course, Pan's Labyrinth I think is probably when I really got interested in it,
Right,
Del Toro's movie, which is sort of a fairy tale, dark fairy tale set in that time,
right.
and some stuff too. Just I learned about it mainly because I got really interested in Pedro Almodovar, so I was reading books about his films, especially his early films, and that whole kind of movement in Spain when the Republic kind of finally fell and things lightened up. So I've kind of known a lot about that from reading about filmmakers from that time
Right.
period more than. So kind of a weird way to learn about stuff. That's how I learn a lot about stuff. I get interested in a
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker, and then or you watch movies from the time. And I'm still in Korean TV shows still. So I was God, Eddie, you've got to watch Karma. It's like 7 episodes. It's very, very, very noir,
Okay.
and sort of each episode is like you start getting set up about all these different characters and how it's in the way it sort of things start connecting them more and more and more as the story goes by. It's very dark, but it's Yeah, I'm making Ted watch it, so I'm watching it over again so Ted and I can watch it, and Ted's really
Cool.
enjoying it too. But yeah, it's very good. It's very dark, but it's really good, and just because it just sort of starts the first episode starts with this guy who's in debt to loan sharks, which is never a good thing in Korea because they always want to take your organs.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah.
so
It's never a good thing anywhere, quite honestly.
you really shouldn't anywhere, but in Korea they really go for the organs, I guess, and that's sort of. But then, yeah, so the first one is just this guy sort of hiring someone to kill his father because he finds out his father has a life insurance policy on him, and then things kind of
There's
go
a
from
story
there.
we've seen before. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's all this other stuff that happens because you keep seeing things from these different characters that seem unrelated at first, but it all connects as you go along. But it's very, very good.
And for our audience, give us the name again and the
It's called Karma. It's a Korean
like
TV
Karma,
show.
Karma.
Yes, so you can kind of understand. She gives you a hint about the ending.
Okay.
Karma. And it's on Netflix. And for Squid Game fans, the actor who plays Song Wook in the first season of Squid Game is in it, and his performance in this is amazing. It's multifaceted.
Okay.
It's really interesting, sort of like when you first see the character as opposed to as you go along, and
And how many episodes is this?
it's like 7.
And are they all interconnected or are they all standalone shows?
They're all interconnected because
Okay.
what happens is the first one you watch and the second one you think it's not connected at first, and then very quickly it is very connected, so
Okay.
everything
So
connects
it's
together.
7 shows. So if I'm in for a
7
penny, I'm in for a
episodes,
pound. I have to
yeah,
watch all
you
7.
have to watch
Yeah.
all of it. It's yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Well, I thought I'd watch one of these Italian cop shows, and now I'm on like episode 26 or something. So,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
because now
I
I'm watching another Korean show. I'm watching Our Blues, which is it's really funny because so people know, like, so we do this over Zoom, so I pulled up the meeting and stuff and I have my earpiece in and stuff, and I heard this voice going, Anne, because I was watching this episode of Our Blues because I was like, I was watching up until the moment you arrived for us to record because I was so into it. And Ours Blue is not,
I know it's funny when I came on the Zoom, you were like watching television and like not paying any attention to me at all. So that's a good sign.
which I never do. I'm always usually really focused, but it was just
Yeah,
getting to this
yeah.
really kind of great part. And I was like, I'll just watch it up until an Eddie shows up and then I'll stop.
Okay, well now Eddie's going to go because I'm really intrigued to see if Kathleen has made dinner or if we're going to have to go out or something. So, okay, fabulous. And we're again right at we're always at the 90-minute mark. Every time
Yeah,
we do this, I think like we're just going to do an hour tonight, and then we end up doing 90 minutes. But it's always fun.
yeah, it
So
is. Thank you.
I hope folks had a good time listening along tonight, and
Yeah.
there will be some new things coming up on the show shortly.
Awesome.
So I will clue you in. You already know what it is, but people will stay tuned because we're gonna be bringing some new ideas to the show. So anyway,
Okay.
and stay well. I will talk to you
Do
very
my
soon.
best. See y'all
Yeah.
later. Good night, all.
Okay. Good night.